It's not many things that I love more than a good zombie or infected movie. And for this to be considered a zombie movie, if that's what you want to call it, it's hardly any zombies in it. Zombies, infected, whatever you want to call them, you know what I'm talking about. Tomato, tomato. We are talking spoilers. If you have not seen this movie yet, come back later. 28 years later, Bone Temple is a movie that I completely forgot was coming out. I never watched any of the films in this series until last year, and even though 28 Days Later is such a 2000s looking movie, I still really enjoyed it and I thought it was good. I haven't seen 28 Weeks Later, but I did see 28 Years Later in theater last year, and honestly, didn't really like it. The first like 20 minutes of this movie with the father and son when they went out hunting, I thought that whole part of the movie was incredible. It was dark, it was intense. I wanted 2 hours of that, and then it went in a completely different direction. The whole pregnant zombie thing I thought was really stupid. And then at the end of the movie with the bag wig Power Rangers coming out, they doing flips and they killing everybody. It just seemed like such a tone shift. Like looking around in my theater, I could see everybody's face and we were all just kind of like, what the is happening? That weird ending leads to this movie, 28 Years Later, Bone Temple, and it picks up right where it left off. Based on what I've seen online, I've seen nothing but positive reviews for this movie. I'm talking about 8s and 9s, people talking about how great this movie is, people saying in January we already have one of the best films of the entire year, and maybe I'm tripping, maybe I just don't get it, maybe this franchise isn't for me. I don't think this movie is that good, but maybe it's my fault for going into these recent movies and thinking that we're getting this down-to-earth, dark zombie movie. Maybe that's my fault, but in this film, I feel like it was a lot of setting up for the future. It was a lot of weird and silly moments, and it was definitely a lot of humans. This is a 2-hour movie, and for 2 hours, I was sitting there like, where are all the infected? This movie does do some things very well, in my opinion, but I feel like I have a lot more complaints with this movie. So let me start with the stuff that I do like. The star of this movie for me was Jack O'Connell. From his acting to his character, he was featured in one of my favorite movies from last year's Sinners, and he was great in this movie. His character of Jimmy and all of his companions, also named Jimmy, I like them as a whole a lot more than I thought I would going into this, because based off how the last movie ended, I was ready to hate. With how the last movie ended, it just felt like such a sharp turn in tone with all these colorful people dressed in bad wigs doing flips and killing zombies. And going into this movie, I thought they were going to be really annoying. They were actually terrifying. The beginning of this movie did start out kind of silly with Spike stabbing one of them in the leg, and then his thigh was just gushing out blood like a bad 2000s movie. And I was sitting there like, man, this movie is about to be stupid as hell, but these people are insane. So Jack O'Connell, he plays this character named Jimmy Crystal, and he's the leader of this group where every member in the group name is also Jimmy, and they're Satanists. Wasn't expecting that. Jimmy Crystal believes that his father is Satan, and everything they do is in honor of Satan, and they kill people brutally. One scene that I feel like is being talked about a lot is the scene that took place in the barn where Jimmy told his companions take their shirts off, and they started to cut the skin off of their upper torso. And like, for me, I know I'm a big dude, I know I come off as a very scary and intimidating individual, but I don't like seeing stuff like that. I was in my seat like, but ultimately the goal of Jimmy Crystal is to build his own army and have a bunch of soldiers of people that would do basically whatever he says. Like, the character of Jimmy Crystal was dark and very interesting. Probably my favorite scene in this entire movie is the scene where Jimmy and the doctor meet for the first time, and they sit down and they have a conversation. You start to learn more about Jimmy, and you start to see a human side of Jimmy, and it's like, just for a few moments, you start to think to yourself, deep down, is there some sort of goodness inside of Jimmy? Is there some sort of normal human inside of Jimmy? And then in a flip of a switch, he threatens the doctor and says, give me what I want or I'm going to choke you with your own intestines. So if you can't tell, I'm a big fan of Jimmy Crystal in this movie. I thought he was such a interesting and fascinating character, especially towards the end of the movie where you start to see that he's a fraud and he's pretty much lying to his companions about old Nick or knowing Satan and Satan being his father. All pretty interesting stuff, like especially at the end of the movie where he works out the deal with the doctor and the doctor has 3 commands that he gives. And then when the doctor is like, well, actually I have a 4th, and Jimmy is like, no, you don't. So I love the character of Jimmy. I like the cast of different Jimmys that he has, but there are things that I like about this movie, or that I want to like about this movie, but then they do something really silly And then it kind of gets me out of it. Like, it's a scene towards the end of the movie where the doctor is pretending to be Satan and he's doing this performance. He has fire shooting everywhere. He's blasting rock music. The Jimmies, they're dancing. They're having a good time. They think that they're actually meeting Satan. And it's like, well, first off, visually, this scene is beautiful. This is probably the best looking scene or shot in this entire movie. It's probably one of the best overall scenes in this entire movie. So it's like, a part of me is like, I like this. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, but then when I think about this movie and then I think about this world and how dark this world is, it kind of just takes me out of it. Maybe I'm no fun, but it's like a piece of me likes it, and then another piece of me, I'm like, this is silly. For the most part, I would say that the special effects in this movie I thought was pretty good. There was one scene where you see from the perspective of the infected and you see a human's face and it's like a demon or something. That's what they're seeing. That scene looked terrible. That looked like something I would have made out of like iMovie or something. But outside of that, for the most part, this is a pretty good looking movie. We see an alpha rip somebody's head clean off. I thought that looked great. Even though I don't like it, when you see people getting cut and see people peeling off skin and stuff like that, it looks disgusting. But it looks good, if that makes sense. So I like the special effects for the most part. I thought this movie looked pretty good. Outside of that scene where we're seeing from the perspective of the infected, I thought this movie looked good for the most part. That fire scene at the end where the doctor is pretending to be Satan and he's giving a performance, that scene was absolutely beautiful, even though it was silly. And I love the character of Jimmy Crystal. But that's really it. The main issue that I have with this movie is that the overall story doesn't advance enough for me. It's like this movie has key points. It definitely has key points. That's big in sense of world building. That's big in world building as a whole for this series. But it's like they take these few key points and they stretch it and they drag it out for 2 hours. So I love the character of Jimmy Crystal. I like the group of Jimmys for the most part, but ultimately, why are they here? Like, again, the overall story of this movie doesn't really advance that much. This entire movie is just, we get introduced to the Jimmys are being weird, the Jimmys brutally murder a bunch of people at the barn house, the Jimmys start to die one by one, the Jimmys get to the Bone Temple, the Jimmys meet who they think is Satan, and then the movie is over. It's just like the storyline with the Alpha and the Doctor. I actually thought that plot point in the movie was really good. But I didn't need that to be stretched out for the span of 2 hours, because we get to the end of the movie and then you realize that this entire film is just a setup for the next movie. In this movie, we do learn more about the infected. Like, deep down, is there still humanity inside of them? Are these people just sick? Are they battling psychosis? When it comes to the Alpha or Samson, he's starting to speak words. He's saying things like moon. He's saying things like thank you. When he was on the subway car and he said, sorry, I don't have my ticket, or something like that. That caught me off guard. Now the Alpha, he's being attacked by the other infected. Is the Alpha now, is he some sort of hybrid? Is he becoming human? Is he immune to whatever disease the infected now has? I don't know. We gotta wait until the next movie. I feel like with this movie, they really bank on you liking and caring for these characters. But if you're like me and you don't, you might be a little disappointed. It's like when it comes to the Doctor character. Everyone loves the Doctor character. Me personally, I don't really care. Like, I don't think the Doctor is a bad character, but I don't like him enough that I want to see him star in a 2-hour movie. So much of this movie is just scenes of the Alpha being high out of his mind and him dancing with the Doctor or just talking with the Doctor. And I get what they were doing. I get why they were doing it. I just feel like this movie needed something else. I don't know if I'm wording it wrong. I don't know if I'm wording it poorly, but like, the overall key point of this movie is the Alpha is now some sort of hybrid and can people be cured? It's like, I get that, but for that entire point to just be stretched out over 2 hours, it's hard for me to look at this film and not feel like this is just a 2-hour setup movie for the next film. Like, we get introduced to these random characters at the beginning. We see the Jimmys, they go to the barn house, they kill most of the family. We see this pregnant woman, she escapes. We literally do not see her at all for the rest of the movie, but don't worry, because I'm sure she's gonna be back in the next film. This movie is pretty much just about humans and the one Alpha. Like, I feel like it was maybe 4 or 5 scenes in this entire movie that involved the infected in some way, and I feel like they didn't impact this movie at all. Also, what's up with Spike? I feel like his character didn't really have anything to do this entire movie. I know this movie picks up directly after the first film, but we don't see any sort of growth. The character of Spike is the exact same from the beginning of this movie to the end of the movie. The only role he has in this movie, or the only goal he has in this entire film, is he wants to escape. That's it. I just assumed that Spike was going to be the main character of this movie, but it ended up being Jimmy, the doctor, and Samson. I don't know. I see a lot of people, they seem to love this movie. Maybe I'm tripping, but I just don't get it. As of this recording, 28 years later, Bone Temple is projected to make around 15 million in its opening weekend. On Rotten Tomatoes has a critic score of 94% and a fan rating of 90%. I already know that I'm gonna get killed for this. This movie was not for me. If you like this movie, shout out to you, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna always speak my truth. I feel like I gave 28 years later, if my memory is correct, I think I gave 28 years later a 5 out of 10. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10, which is an above average on my scale. I love Jack O'Connell's performance in this movie. His portrayal of Jimmy was excellent. His crew as a whole were pretty one-dimensional, but for the most part, I liked them more than I thought I would. But at the end of the day, bro, this entire movie was filler. This entire movie was a setup for the next movie, because at the end of this film, what do we see? Cillian Murphy, we haven't seen him since 28 Days Later. We see Cillian Murphy with a young girl. They're studying for an exam or something, and then they hear a noise, so they go outside, they look down the valley, and what do they see? They see Spike and that woman, Jimmy. I don't remember which Jimmy her name was. They see them running from a group of infected. Now we got the next movie. I pay for a movie theater subscription, so whenever that new movie comes out, I'm sure I'm gonna see it at some point, but this movie, and maybe this new recent franchise, just isn't for me. I loved the first movie. I thought the first movie was really good, but this newer stuff, maybe it's just not for me. Like I said, if you like this movie, shout out to you. I'm happy for you. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. For me, I'm gonna always live my truth. I don't really like this movie, but thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things on this channel. What are your thoughts on this movie? Did you love this movie? Did you hate this movie? Am I tripping? Am I crazy? I cannot believe I've seen so many high scores on this movie. I'm talking about 8s and 9s, people giving this a letter A. People saying in January this is going to be one of the best movies of the entire year, which to me, that's kind of crazy, but like what you like. So if you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section below. Love you guys. As always, remember to tell somebody that you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.